Thank you. I am so thrilled to be here at KSAALT, my first experience presenting on your programs. And I'm so happy because, in fact, I was in Saudi Arabia in 2003, before some of you were born, for my first trip. And we were trying then to work out the details. Maybe some of you were there then, trying to work out the details of a teaching association. And there were some problems, but I am so glad to be back with you. And I thank you for having me today. Hind, thank you so much for the invitation. And to everyone who's organized this event, I've thoroughly enjoyed all these stories of lockdown that we've heard until now. I'm going to start my timer so I don't forget that. I know it's important that we stay on schedule. So 10 minutes is now. Okay. So, as other speakers before me today have said, we're in a crisis mode, right? We've all managed to survive, or we wouldn't be here on this call today. By the way, there are more than 100 participants today. I'm very impressed with the turnout and thrilled to be with you. We didn't plan what was going to happen, and that has created for some of us big challenges. When I was on the TESOL board of directors in the early 2000s, we had so many challenges, but absolutely nothing remotely like this. So kudos to Kathy and others, Grazia, who are amazing leaders and through this very challenging time. I don't know when it will end. This is what we say all the time. It's one thing to be asked to do something hard for a time, a couple of weeks or even a month or 2 months. We don't know how long this is going to last. The good news is we just heard, as you've read in the paper, of course, that the vaccine is available, and that's going to make a big change. It's going to hopefully mean the end will be in sight of the lockdown experience that we've been having. My message today is about maintaining a sense of balance, because I am probably the oldest person on this panel. And as Hind kindly commented, I've done a lot of volunteer work for the association, both internationally, as a consultant on many projects in and around Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, North Africa, the Gulf. I'm very lucky to have had the career I've had, but I'm thinking, what can I tell you that hasn't already been said? So I'm going to take the position of a semi-retired professional TESOLer, which I am. And I had the good fortune of running an online teacher education program at the master's level for 12 years. My most recent job was director of a master's in TESOL at Shenandoah University, where hundreds and hundreds of students graduated with masters that they got online. Much more to say on that. I also have a son named Sam, and he's a professor of Arabic language at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And he has traveled a lot because he studied Arabic at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, but he also went to Egypt, to the American University in Cairo for a program there. And he was in Syria just before the struggles began. Actually, he was there at the very beginning. So I have a connection with Arabic language speakers, with the Middle East, North Africa, with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Many of our students over the years have come from Saudi Arabia, and I'm very grateful to have a chance to sit with you today as we talk about issues that are kind of far away here in Virginia. Kathy came to us from Boston, and I love that KSAALT has put together this diverse community. So the visual may be something you can identify with. So there's a big difference between what you plan to do with your life and what happened with your career. I'm going to title my presentation Remotely Together and talk about body, mind, and soul issues. I'm going to divide my photographs into those 3 sections, because in our recently published book on TESOL career path development, we found in the research for that book that really those are the 3 key issues: body, mind, spirit, soul go together. And we're going to be addressing ways in which and perhaps it will ring bells with you all as well, have dealt with these three sort of aspects of life. We've already had plenty of those in the previous conversations as well. I loved what Fatima said, all of a sudden, boom, because that was true for our bodies, our minds, and our souls. But in our research for this book, we discovered that many professional communities, like doctors and lawyers and engineers, largely male-dominated professions, actually do address these needs of their members. That is, the people who are in those professions address their needs in ways that in TESOL, we, I think, failed to do that. I loved Kathy's presentation just preceding mine, where she talked about projects for students. All of our presenters today talk about their students. We do a lot to think about our students, but today in my presentation, I'd like you to be just a tiny bit selfish and thinking of yourself and your life and your body, mind, and soul, which is tied to your students, of course, but putting yourself in the center of this presentation. So for me, it's been tricky. I've been cooking a lot and working on keeping an eye on my diet and getting exercise. And I put body first because each of us only has one. And I want us to remember the importance of looking after our bodies, because whatever we do with our minds or our spirits requires our body to be able to participate in mind activity for the sake of this discussion, or spiritual activities as well. We have to take care of ourselves. Diet and exercise, super important, not to be forgotten, both for ourselves and our students. These are some photographs that come out of my telephone on the TESOL convention, in the first virtual TESOL convention. A friend came, Richard Boyum, you can see him in the purple shirt there. You may know him. He spent some time in the Middle East as well. Richard and I met on my patio, and then we joined on a Zoom with our friend John Schmidt, who appears above. I don't know why he's making that sign, but he's just being funny. And we joined for some of the TESOL plenary events, so we could be together, kind of remotely together for the TESOL convention. It's too cold now. The temperature today is in the 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very cold, and we can't be outside, any of us. So I'm so glad that we were able to have the TESOL convention in weather that was warm in Virginia. My friends and I met at a cafe, an outdoor cafe in our community here in Winchester, Virginia. Has outdoor seatings now with big heaters all around them. But this was again in the summer. We were very lucky in the warm weather. This winter is going to be tough. I'll be talking about that too a little bit. Hind is featuring large in this, and many of familiar faces, Anastasia and I, but professional development. And George, I think, gave us an outstanding and thorough description of the ANPC's work and other groups. Gulf TESOL Gulf, Africa TESOL has done amazing projects throughout this period. We're so lucky to have these communities of practice to join. Nowadays, and I want to add this to George's comments, I can turn on Zoom almost any time of the day or night and find a webinar or a session that I can enjoy with colleagues. And like George, I like to travel, and sometimes I get sad because I can't see my friends. So I just turn on Zoom, and there we all are. There you all are. Souls and Spirits, this is my my church community. We meet on Sunday mornings and have church on Zoom. I'm moving quickly here just to say that I want to end with some suggestions, some advice from a semi-retired TESOLer. I invite you to take a look at that list, read it, and identify one or two that you think might be really useful to you. We could do a whole session on it. I'm not gonna, but I've made this over the last couple of weeks because I get phone calls, Zoom calls, and other communications with former students who have been let go because Intensive English programs in the US used to be the big employer of traditional TESOLers. I'm helping many of my former students and colleagues to retool themselves for what's coming next. Largely, this takes the form of instructional design, where these former TESOL, very narrowly defined TESOLers are changing their identities. One quick story is a student who lost her job as director of a very large IEP and got hired on again by the same university as director of remote learning. So she's responsible for the entire campus, and that's a happy ending story. Not all of them have happy endings. That's it. I have 28 seconds, and I want to use those to say thank you a million. I wish you all the best as we head into what will hopefully be the end of our lockdown experience. And thank you for being remotely with me today.